Welcome everyone on another 3Shape webinar. Today's topic is Inside Implant Studio Anatomy Design. And my name is Christopher Adams. I'm a dental technician and 3Shape dental application specialist. I'm working in 3Shape for over 4.5 years, and previously, before that, I worked for just over 5 years in the milling center, specializing in 3Shape software. At first, before I will go any further, I would like to ask you if you can hear me loud and clearly, as I don't have any wingman next to me. There's nobody that can tell me if I'm being heard loud and clearly. So if you could use either questions or chat mode to let me know if you can hear me loud and clearly, I'll be I'll appreciate that. Right, seems like everything works fine in terms of audio. I hope that you can also see my screen as well. The software is indicating that you should be able to see me just as well. Okay, I would like to remind all of you, the ones that are joining for first time, or maybe the ones of you that are familiar with 3Shape webinars, that during all of this webinar, you are able to ask the questions. You can either use a question or a chat mode for doing that. But because I'm going to be focused really on what's happening on the screen and on the functionalities, making sure that that everything is correct and, of course, clear, I will look into the questions a little bit later on. That's why the way that I organize today's training is start from creating an order form. Of course, since we're talking about anatomy design, this is going to be primarily a setup for tooth-supported planning. And then, because I'm not a big fan of PowerPoint presentations, especially in such a good tool as webinars are, I will go directly to the live demo. I will import some scans and make one case for the patient that maybe some of you seen, or at least know from a demo case. I think it's really good for this particular case. I will import scans, and I will make first a basic placement for this patient and show you what is the minimum and maybe give you a few hints how to do it, and then move a little bit further to advanced functionalities. So this is the order form screenshot quickly that I took earlier on with the setup, how it should look like in the 3D order form, and then of course get you through a very basic, very easy placement for the design, and through slightly more advanced functionalities. These functionalities are being shared throughout different platforms of 3Shape softwares. That's why if you had a chance to use with some of our other modules, you might find them familiar. Of course, right now, and I will remind that at the end of this webinar, you can, if you're going to look for more information, you can always try to look for those in the What's New document. This one should be available throughout your in the software. And I would also like to invite you already right now in the next Implant Studio webinar, which will be held on the September 1st between 4 and 4:30 Central European time. I will show you how to get to this page as well, how to find it, the sign up for the next webinar. But since you managed to succeed with signing up for this one, I'm pretty sure that that's going to be more of a formality. Good. So let me get directly to the software and show you how it works from here. So first, of course, I've started Implant Studio. This is a 2016 version. It's a first one for me, first webinar for me to show you these functionalities. And some of them, the ones, especially the tools that I'm going to be showing you today, not all of them are available on the previous releases. So if you haven't updated to the Dental System 2016, it might look a little bit differently. Of course, I've started already creating my order form. Let me go back to the general screen. So here is Implant Studio in its, let's say, welcoming screen, or at the beginning. I can either create a new patient or add a case to an existing patient. I think I will just create a new case for the existing one. Of course, first possibility that I will have in the next stage is to select who's going to be handling the rest of the case. And so either I can keep it in-house or use any of the laboratories or manufacturing centers that I have connection to throughout the 3Shape Communicate. And here I will just keep it in-house to make it simple. I can see that, and here I haven't had any patients selected. I believe the best analyzed patient in my system will be the test patient, and I believe that that will be the absolute minimum information that I need to select, since there is a green tick appearing on the order form in indication settings. The minimum is already been set. That's why I will go further on. So I'll click next, and now I need to select the type of the indications that I'm going to be continuing with. Since it's implant planning, so I will select, let's say, 3. And these that I'm going to plan to place the implants on. In this case, I decided to go a little bit more advanced, since I'm going to be showing both advanced and basic features. So tooth 3.6 and 3.7, they are already extracted. They are not there. But tooth 4.6 is still existing. So we're taking under consideration a scenario where this one will be extracted, let's say, just before the surgery, so we can treat it as an immediate loading type of a case. So since I highlighted the teeth that I would like to place some annotations on, I will highlight implant planning, and this will have to be tooth supported. As you can see, both implant planning and surgical guide has been selected. Of course, that depends on the setup on your dongle, what's available, what kind of subscriptions you have available. Apart from that, I will also place the anatomy, and in here I will just select crowns. In here, you don't need to be super specific. You can always clarify with laboratories what kind of indication it's going to be, if it's going to be a temporary or permanent restoration, if you need to have an abutment underneath, and so on and so on. So I'm not going to clarify it just yet, because this functionality will just make it a lot easier set up later on during the planning. If we have an access to the anatomy design, software will treat it very easily, and it will, say, help us at the initial placement of the implant. As software can recognize the long axis of the tooth, it will place the implant right under the anatomy that we're going to design right now. Okay, I think that this is absolute enough setup that we will have. As you can see, 3D order form gives a clear preview of what we are going to order. So there will be an implant planned, there will be a drill guide, and of course anatomy design in between. Okay, going further on, software will give me a possibility of importing the scans. I don't have a scanner connected to my current PC, plus it would take too much time. So I will start importing the scans, start with mandatory information, so lower surface scan, and of course a head CT as well. Wherever you have it on your computer, that's entirely up to you. You can keep it on the memory stick or external hard drive, as long as you have an access to it. That's going to be fine. Then software will show me the preview of the scans. That looks very good and very nice and clean. And here on the left-hand side, on the top of the screen, you can see that I have optional scans available to be uploaded as well, and that will be upper surface scan. I will do it for this case because, of course, as it usually is and how it should be when we're taking a CT scan, the jaw need to be with a distance. They should not be in contact to have a clear information, clear image. But if I will make a correct scan in the intraoral scanner, these scans will be imported in the right orientation in 3D and with the correct bite. So I will use actually the bite to make a better anatomy design. So that's going to be an upper scan. There you go, looks okay. And since we have all of the information imported, let me click Next and get to the anatomy design. And in here you might already see some differences if you haven't worked with Implant Studio 2016. Right now, directly from importing the scans, we will get to the anatomy design. Previously it was placed in between the whole implant planning part. Right now it's at the very beginning. So first we will handle the anatomy design and then we will start with the planning. In here, starting from the very beginning of the anatomy design, software highlights which tooth is going to be placed initially. And as you can see, my anatomy is shown from the occlusal surface, buccal side facing the top of the screen. And this is where I would like to give you a hint. I've noticed that on some of the trainings, some of the users are struggling with the initial placement of the teeth. The best way to do it, since the orientation of the tooth anatomy from the library will be always from the same direction. Place your scan, the surface scan, in a way that your anatomy from the library will be matching and will be placed with the correct orientation. So I'll try to, let's say, maneuver the surface scan in the way that the buccal side will be facing the same direction as the anatomy coming from the library. So always facing top side of the screen. Before I will start placing the teeth, and in here, since software suggested that we should start with crown 3.7, I think I would prefer to start placing my teeth from crown 3.6, since I can place it really nicely close to the neighboring teeth. There's nothing easier to change that. Just go to the preview of the order form and the top left side, click on the tooth 3.6 and watch out because the orientation of the model might change. Find the right position and you can start placing your anatomy right away next to the existing teeth. Okay, and then software will start placing another one. Then it's going to be tooth 3.7. Fair enough. And we have one more. Of course, in my order form, I selected tooth 3.6 to be, 4.6 to be also placed, but the tooth is existing. I've mentioned earlier on that that's going to be immediate loading. So what should I do in a case like this? Software skipped one stage, so it assumed that the model has been prepared and jumped directly to anatomy design. To be able to place my anatomy correctly over tooth 4.6, I will go one step back, so I'll go back to the preparation stage. And in here, as you can see, software suggested the upper jaw. We don't have any preparations to be done on the upper jaw, so I will click on the lower one. It will very quickly switch to the lower jaw. And now how to basically virtually extract the teeth, extract the tooth. And that's very simple. I will use an option called Add Patch in here on the left-hand side, the green plus option. And in here there's different ways to cut out the tooth. The one that I found easiest, of course, in here you should find your own method and use this one as the one that suits you the most. What I like is to basically show the anatomy from the top. Press and hold left mouse button in the place that I desire. In here it's going to be in the proximate area. Make the cutout all the way around. You can see it's not the best cutout, but I will make a quick modification in here. Another hint that I can give you in this stage, and I'm using it also for designing an outline for the drill guide is always start and always finish somewhere around this green spline. You can see that I'm not starting it from the middle and trying to draw it somewhere. Always start from the green line, draw it around, and finish somewhere close to the green line. This is a method that I found is the most precise, and it's the most difficult to, let's say, lose the spline and to make the cutout not entirely where it's going to be optimal. And here it is, very quick, very easy, let's say, tooth extractor tool. From here, since we have a tooth extracted already, I can go back to my anatomy design and complete placement of the anatomies. As you can see, this time I orientated my model again in the same way, so buccal side facing top side of the screen. Okay, so in here, there you go. I have some anatomies placed. By default, software is showing first tool, so transformation tool. And with those, I have a few colored dots that will indicate either rotational, which are the red ones, or stretching, or changing the linear dimension, which is the green dots. And the vectors right next to them are suggesting which directions we're going to be adjusting the anatomies. As long as I will place them more or less where the teeth should be and get the right, let's say, proportions for the teeth, that will be absolute minimum that it's required for this part of the design, and we will benefit from the anatomy designs later on. Software will place the implant most probably right under the anatomy, suggesting the good and optimal position from the very beginning. I'm finding it very easy, very intuitive, and from here I could quite easily go to the next stage and carry on with the planning. Then, of course, laboratory, when they would take over the case, or whomever will be doing the design of the abutment and either temporary or final restoration, they will do some more adjustments, some more twitching, adjust the contact points, adjust the design to the anatomy. And that's absolutely fine. I'm pretty sure that if you're busy, somebody else will be able to handle it quite okay as well. So I would say that for basic placement, basic tools, and the small hint how to initially place the model, that will be absolutely enough. And yes, you can carry on not worrying about anything else. Of course, if the initial placement of the anatomy will be different, then it just takes a little bit more time to get it to the right position. So let's dive a little bit deeper into the functionalities. What is possible? What kind of tools we have available? This tooth shapes that you can see in here, this is the anatomy that was the last used during the planning, during the anatomy design. And you can, of course, change them. If you think that this anatomies are not satisfying you, you can find a better one. Then it's very easy. Click on the Choose Smile Libraries on this tooth preview on the left-hand side, and you have an access to different types of the libraries, different anatomies, different shapes. If you like them more, just click on them, and software, you can see very quickly, is modifying the design over here. I think this is the last one. This is the one that I used last time. Well, anyhow, whichever you will select, whichever you like the most, select this one. Software will place it automatically. And of course, because these anatomies might differ one to another in terms of a size, that's going to be modified as well. That's why it's better to select the correct anatomy before you will make a fine adjustment. Otherwise, you will have to basically start again, start from scratch in terms of placement and the correct contacts. So first, what I will do, if you're decided to do a slightly more sophisticated design, choose your Smile library first. I believe I explained you the the transformation tool already, so let me move a little bit further. Next tool available is, again, a tool that might be found in different modules, different softwares across the 3Shape applications, and this is a morphing tool. Morphing tool is beloved by advanced users, and I would say a little bit tricky to operate if you're a new user, if you haven't come across this tool before. This tool requires a little bit of, I would say, imagination, 3D imagination, or understanding the tool, how it operates using 3D. You can see that we have a circle with a black circle with a mesh inside, and this one will be changing its shape. You can see that it's actually not the circle, but elliptical shape, and this one will follow the anatomy exactly on its surface. And this is basically the orientation in 3D that it will be required. And here to show you a little bit better which direction it will adjust the shape of the anatomy, I will press Control. Right now I'm holding the Control button on the keyboard, and when I press and hold left mouse button, you can see that it will adjust the part of my design, the buccal mesial cusp, in this exact value. And this is exactly the same value that it's projected throughout this elliptical shape. Blue area, blue circle that is around it is the area that will be affected by this tool, and of course you can make it bigger or smaller using the slider next to the morph tool. There's also one more thing that I need to tell you. If this elliptical shape will actually flip quickly and stay actually perfectly round, this is when this tool will allow us to make a movement and change of the surface, but not in 3D, not in depth, only in 2D. So from side to side, top to down, but always on the same plane. And I would seriously recommend you to try it, because it's very easy, for instance, to let's say raise or lower the contact points, adjust the height of the cusps, and in this case it might be quite relevant. Okay, I hope that that's pretty easy. You can also adjust the size of this blue circle by pointing on one of the edge, the black edge of the anatomy, and using scroll or wheel on the mouse. So this one also can be adjusted in such a way. Very nice, very flexible tool. Again, if you're an advanced user, I'm pretty sure that you will find it very useful. There's one more, let's say, a slightly hidden functionality that I wanted to introduce you to, since I'm on this tool. If I would be placing this, the tip of the cursor somewhere around the cusp, but not at the very edge, not at the black outline, slightly below, this blue circle will focus around the tip of the cusp, and only this one will be adjusted. But as soon as I will point it out to the black line, you can see that right now it gets slightly thicker. And the blue line is highlighting basically both lingual and labial cusps. If I will press and hold left mouse button, now I can adjust height of both of them at the same time. So everything that is behind this blue circle will be adjusted. Okay, moving on a little bit further on, we have a wax knife. This one works very simple. We have adding, removing, and smoothing tool. Each one of them is highlighted with the matching color. So smoothing is blue, removing is red, and adding is green. Each one of them have, of course, the circle, the area that our tool will be applied on, and volume or level of the area that will be added or removed. There's also effectiveness of the smoothing tool applied as well. Below, we have 6 tools. They are pre-defined. You can see that it's adding and removing with different factors. So if you like, for instance, this gently adding tool with a little bit of a smoothing, no matter what kind of setup you have on your tools, clicking on one will always get back to this pre-defined values. There are two tools that I'm very often using, and they are useful for, let's say, more sophisticated design. First one is a big radius of the adding tool and small level, small volume. This is a very nice, gentle smoothing tool, and it's smoothing by gently adding the material to make sure that it's not going to be too thin. And second one, if you want to go slightly deeper and more precisely in your design, you can also use removing tool. But this time I will flip the settings entirely to the opposite side. So use a small radius and big level or big amplitude in this case. And this one will very nicely turn into a carver. So instead of a smoothing or smoothing or a tool or gently adding, I will turn the same tool into a slight carving tool. It's very nice, very precise. If you are into details of the teeth, it's really sharp. You can probably quite easily put your initials on the crown design. Probably patient won't appreciate it, but it's just an example of how sharp this tool is. We can always undo the previous move if it was not very fortunate. Okay, what else we have? Apart from the wax knife, of course, you can use a smoothing tool as well. In here, we have option to define the contacts, and in here, these contacts are predefined in the way that it's an occlusal contact. As I told you before, we imported the antagonist model, and you can see that despite my best efforts right now, there still cusps are protruding through the antagonist, so this would be definitely a tight design. What I can do is quite easily define how much space I need in the occlusion. Click play button, and right now software will apply the sculpting operation, so it will try to adapt the design. You can see that right now on tooth 3/6 there's no collisions to the antagonist, so in the static occlusion, this would be, let's say, a correct design. It would fit, it would not collide. Of course, I need to apply those to the other teeth as well, so it will be a, let's say, one-by-one operation. Okay, I could do it, of course, on the other side of my arch as well, but in this case, I would like to show you a slightly different tool. You remember earlier on we made a virtual extraction in here. Well, this surface has not been entirely forgotten. You can see that this tooth will be removed, but it's still virtually it's still there. So what I can do is, if this anatomy is good, and of course we need to remove it, we need to extract it, but patient was happy with the anatomy. Maybe it was it would be better if it would be anterior. Then what we can do is, using the last option in the automatic tools, we have an option to morph to pre-preparation or a wax up. So if you have a pre-prep scan, it could be done also on the other side. It could be used for this, let's say, virtually extracted tooth. If I will click play button, software will adjust and modify my current design to follow exactly the same anatomy as it was there before. Right, very simple, very easy tool. You can see it took a second to build it up to exactly the same surface as it was used there, as it was there originally. Now, since I've made my design in here on the other side of the arch, but I've made it fitting only on the static occlusion, so only when the patient is having its mouth closed. Now, of course, if you're looking for a fully functional surface, then I would recommend you to use virtual articulator. In here we have an articulator. They work pretty much the same. The principle of working is the same. What I will do is I will adjust my bite in here. So try to find the occlusal plane matching the zero position of the articulator. And from here, quickly press run the articulator. You can see that it will try to make a movement marking, of course, the contacts during the movement to the antagonist teeth, and a few cusps that will actually collide during the movement. You can see that right now we have just a simple contact points, but during the movement there will be a bigger, tougher contacts in here. They are highlighted in red color. Yellow is just touching, but the red is definitely colliding. With a click of one button, that it's called Adapt Design, software will adapt those very easily. And it doesn't matter that tooth 4-6 is highlighted as the active item. You might notice that on the tooth 3-7, this cusp that was red is actually lowered. So if I will try to make one more move in here, after adapting the design, right now it became slightly lower. There's just a few small contact points left. This design could be transferred and used directly by the laboratory for providing either temporary or final restorations from here. Okay, I believe that's pretty much everything that I could show you in this step. I've tried to explain all of the tools available in the anatomy design. Of course, later on I'm not going to get through the implant planning, as we don't have a time. We're actually running out of time right now. So let me take a quick look if you have any other questions, and by the time that I'm going to be checking if there are any questions, I would like to ask you a question. I would like to ask you if you already updated your system to Implant Studio 2016, and this is a quick poll. If you will be if you could quickly answer to this one. This is an interactive feature, so please click yes, no, or not yet, but I will soon. Please let me know. You can use your mouse, and yeah, this is the right moment to do it. And I'll check if there's any questions. Okay, so I gave you 1 minute to make up your mind on the poll. So let me close it right now. If you haven't made up your mind regarding the update of your system to Implant Studio 2016, the time is up, and I'm quite happy actually to share the results with you. Why not? It's not a confidential data for me if you update it or not. So let me share them with you. I hope that you can see them right now. So 69% of you answered that yes, you already updated to Implant Studio 2016. That's very good. You have these tools available pretty much at this very moment. 15% of you decided that no, you're not upgrading. Well, fair enough. And 15 of you decided said that you haven't updated yet, but you will update soon. I hope that it's because now you can see how much you can gain with the tools that are available in here. All right, very good. So let me hide the tools and go back to the software. One of you asked a question: how do you send this to the dental system to do provisionals? Well, actually, that's a very good question. At the end of the planning part, when the whole process is being saved, these designs will be available in your save folder. Let me try to find maybe one of the old cases. See if I have it somewhere in here. You can see that there's not many that was done earlier on. I can see that in here in one of the old cases that was done in here. This is a standard saving folder, and you can see that there is a model element 18 and 19. This is a similar setup as I have in here. This design is basically the one that was made in Implant Studio, and of course it could be imported, for instance, as a wax up or as a double preparation. You can morph your design back in dental system to basically copy the same position. Of course, you probably, knowing dental system really well, know that if there will be more positions like this, there's only, let's say, limited amount of the surfaces that we can import into dental system. So as long as it's going to be 1, 2 teeth, maybe 3 at the most, you can get it back into the dental system. But we are also looking into a solution to make it easier. It was possible quite easily on Implant Studio 2014 and 15. It's getting a little bit more tricky right now. Of course, having this file, so these model element 1819, since it's a DCM file, it will keep the same orientation in 3D as it was in here in Implant Studio. Of course, you can also use in here lower jaw scan with implant information for a start to design the abutments, and of course importing these model elements as a wax ups or as a double preparations. You can use those quite easily in dental system. That's rather easy. That's possible. We also think that most probably, since as you can see, it took me best part of half an hour to do this planning, most probably it's going to be made by the laboratory in dental system. So what we could do is, I would suggest to do it in dental system and then send it to Implant Studio. So let's say approach this topic from slightly different angle. Do it in dental system, send it to Implant Studio. For bigger restorations, that's probably going to be a little bit easier. I hope that I've managed to answer on this question. I can't see any more. I hope that this topic was clear enough and easy enough. That's why you don't have any more questions. If you do, please send us an email to webinar@3shape.com, yeah, you can always ask them a little bit later on. What I wanted to show you is maybe as one last thing, as I promised you also at the beginning of this session, how to find webinars for a sign up. So how to basically sign up for upcoming webinars, going back to 3Shape website. So our general corporate website, 3shape.com. In Knowledge Center, in here on the center top side of the screen, and right underneath there's an option after clicking on Knowledge Center that it's called Webinars. That will get you to the list of the upcoming webinars. You can sign up quite easily from here. 1st of September, Implant Studio Guide Design. That's the next one. Click Read More, and that will direct you further on. You can also preview our archived webinars at the bottom of the screen, if you would like to follow up on some of the topics that we discussed earlier on. You're very welcome to do so. For today, I would like to thank you very much for participating in this webinar and for the question as well. I hope that the topic was easy. If not, if you have some additional questions, please send us questions. I will be here for a couple of more minutes to answer on them. If not, webinar@3shape.com is an address that you can address your questions to us. Thank you very much for joining. I would like to see you all on the upcoming webinars. Have a very nice day or evening or the rest of the day. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.